So you're just talking about slope, and there are two special kinds of relationships that the slopes of two lines can have. So two lines can be parallel, or they can be perpendicular, or they can be neither. Okay, so parallel lines have a special relationship where they have the same slope. The same exact slope. And so what those look like when you graph them, they could overlap, but most of the time they don't. Right? They have a different intercept and they go through different points, but they rise or fall at the same rate. Okay, so they never intersect. Perpendicular lines, however, do intersect, and they intersect in a special way where their intersection gives a right angle. Okay, so the way that those guys look is like this. Okay, and right where they intersect at a perpendicular, they intersect perpendicularly. Okay, so these intersect at a right angle, or 90 degrees. And the relationship of their slopes is that their slopes are called negative reciprocals, or opposite reciprocals. So, what the heck does that mean? Like, let's just take a second to maybe review that. So negative reciprocal, so if you have, 1/2, the reciprocal of that would be 2/1, but you're gonna negate it. Okay, so this is what we mean. If you've got a slope of, say negative 4/3, the reciprocal of that would be 3/4, but then you negate it, so you change its sign, so it'll end up being positive. So these two slopes would be, if lines had these two slopes, they would be perpendicular. If you have a slope of 6, the reciprocal of that would be 1/6, because this is really over 1, and so you negate that to give you negative 1/6. All right, so let's take a sec to determine whether each pair of lines here is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So all this amounts to doing is figuring out what is the slope of each line. And we know that if we can write the lines in y equals mx plus b form, then we can just read off the slope and it'll be super simple. Okay, so for all of these, you want to rewrite into y equals mx plus b. All right, so the first one, let's call this number 1 here. So number 1 equation, so we've got x plus y equals 5. So we want to solve that for y, so we'll just subtract x. But I want to write it like mx plus b, so I'm going to write negative x plus 5. All right, so the slope here equals negative 1. Okay, let's take a look at the second equation, find its slope. So you've got 2x plus y equals 5. So we're going to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And so here we get the slope equals negative 2. Now these are not the same slope. They are also not negative reciprocals of each other, and so the answer to this question will be neither. They are just two lines that will intersect somewhere, but not in a special way. All right, let's try this next one over here. So again, we're going to want to rewrite each of these. So let's look at each one separately. So we've got 5y equals 2x minus 3. Okay, we want to solve this for y, so we're going to divide by 5 on both sides, or divide everything by 5. Okay, so we get y equals 2/5 times x minus 3/5. Okay, let's take a look at our, we want to figure out what the slope is, right? So the slope here, that's what we're interested in. So the slope, the m, the thing in front of the x, is 2/5. All right, let's look at our second line here. We've got 5x plus 2y equals 1. Okay, let's solve for y. So we'll subtract the 5x over, so we'll get 2y equals negative 5x plus 1. And then divide by 2. Everything. So both things on the right-hand side get divided by 2. And so we get negative 5 over 2x plus 1/2. Okay, and so the slope of this line is negative 5 over 2. So we look and we say, all right, well, 2/5 and negative 5 over 2, they're not the same. So these aren't parallel. But are they negative reciprocals? Yeah, they're both, they're flipped around from each other, and one of them is negative. So these are parallel lines. All right, example 3. Oh, I didn't label that guy. There we go. Okay, so let's again rewrite each one of these. So that one's good to go. Already in mx plus b form. Slope is 2. Okay, let's find equation number 2. Write it in mx plus b form. Okay, let's get the y alone. So maybe I'll subtract 4x from both sides. Then we want to divide by negative 2. Every piece here. So negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. And so we've got a slope here of 2. All right, so these slopes are the same. And so these are parallel. And I'm so sorry about this. I don't know if I said parallel. Definitely didn't mean that, right? They're negative reciprocal slopes. So example number 2 here should be perpendicular. Right, negative reciprocal slopes. All right, so we're going to use this idea again in the next section. But major thing just to know about parallel and perpendicular lines is just how their slopes interact with each other, right? Or how they're related.